Hey everybody, it's your hospitality friend Glenn here, and I'm coming at you from the Hunter Hotel Investment Conference. Found Russ Stanziale over here. He's with IDeaS. We're having a little conversation about technology set against the backdrop of the finance community. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing great, Glenn. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, I'm really looking forward to bringing some great ideas to the table today.
I heard that before.
Yeah, it was shocking, right?
Yeah.
I'm real original with the comedy content
That's
today. I know.
Hopefully I can build on that.
Yeah. So, Russ, technology has always been a big part of the hospitality industry, at least for the last 15 or 20 years. But I'm finding that the investment community doesn't necessarily understand how to leverage technology in the right way. And instead, we seem to get all caught up with whatever the flavor of technology is of the day and talking about how important it is.
Sure. Well, I think the one thing that's encouraging to me is we've done some primary research recently, and we reached out to the hotel investment community. And we asked them, is the tech stack important to your decisions around where you put your dollars?
Right.
And 70% plus of them came back and said, absolutely yes.
But where, right?
Right. So I think people used to think of sort of the most important components of the tech stack as being the PMS and the CRS, but increasingly...
And it was.
And that's rare. I think it was. And increasingly, the RMS is seen as a differentiator. And what I would use as my proof point for that is how often the discussion of the RMS, the decision around the RMS and the business impact comes up in investor calls. So we see it in major brands and public investor calls. We see it used in decks for the PE community. Increasingly, people are talking about their willingness, their actual desire to invest in the RMS and the outcomes that they're getting from that.
All right, so let's go back and take a little walk down history lane when it comes to revenue management systems.
Yeah.
What was interesting to me is when revenue management first came to the fore and people started thinking about it, it was almost an afterthought. And then after a number of years, they said, oh, let's put somebody in charge of that. And then I think they moved on to, oh, wait, this is a really important position. Now we need to start building things around the idea of revenue management. So the idea of revenue management and the strategy behind that has become pretty sophisticated, I'd say, in the last 10 plus years. Yep. And now we're at a new era where technology is really helping hoteliers make better decisions in the moment, right?
Absolutely. Now, I wasn't here in the RMS field and in the industry when the bus left the station. I got on at a stop along the way. But even what I have seen is when revenue management first started, often whoever was in charge of reservations was in charge of pricing.
Exactly. And this is a time, and again, just to explain to younger people that might not know, you didn't set your rates like every hour or so. You're like, oh, for the winter season, we'll have this particular rate.
And it's interesting fact that because we just had one or two rates for the hotel and you set it for the season, there wasn't complexity in rate structures out there. Right. So when IDeaS came along, it was the opportunity to both create all those different rate structures and then solve for the problem of optimizing all those rates. So in some ways, we were both the chicken and the egg in the industry in terms of spinning up the complexity and solving for it at the same time. And it's certainly gotten to the point where just the reservation agent can't handle it anymore, to say the least. Right. But go ahead.
But they're also not trained for that specific thing anymore. I think the reservations agent job is to entice people to want to stay at the property, and I think to allow others to be able to set what the market rate is for that room at any given time.
Absolutely. There's been a specialization across all industries, not just the hospitality. And it's certainly true in hotels and certainly in large and complex hotels. But I think we've also seen, because of that specialization in large and complex hotels and the sophistication of the systems that service those hotels, that we needed to create something for that long tail, for the budget and economy hotels, where maybe those specialist resources didn't sit. Right. So they've either sat above property in a sort of a large one-to-many relationship, but they've also many times just been the people who actually own the hotel and are running it day to day. So I think you know that we came out with the Elevate solution to what I would describe it as democratizing revenue management for the rest of the industry.
I was just going to say that exact same phrase.
I beat you to it. I beat you to it. Damn it. We've got a bingo card in front of us.
Here I am saying, oh, I'm going to say something really smart, then you beat me to it.
I wish I'd come up with the term.
No, but you're absolutely right, because when you're thinking about, particularly for independent hotels and hotels that are operated by your mom and pop business, they've got to do everything. And when you're running a big box hotel like the one we're sitting in right now, you have the luxury of having somebody that could have a position specifically geared towards that, or multiple people. But in a smaller independent hotel, they've got to do everything. So the idea there, in my opinion, would be you've got to figure out ways to automate as much as possible to take all of the brain drain away from them and allow them to just say yeses or nos.
I agree. Right? It's not a less sophisticated system. In many ways, it's more sophisticated. There's elements of what you have to do to deliver decisions to those hotels. It's even more complex in many ways than a big big luxury hotel. But you do have to be thoughtful about that person and how they're interacting with the system. You know, there's an expression that says no UI is the best UI. Right. And maybe that's one end of the continuum, but you've got to make sure that whatever tools you're giving to that individual in that role are the right tools for them to feel comfortable and confident and to be able to execute quickly. And that's,
right. So
day.
if I'm a small independent hotel, tell me a little bit about, how, like your example, your product could help me make maximum profitability without breaking my brain.
Yeah, so you literally can let the automation do the work for you if you're a small independent hotelier. And many of the large franchise hotels organizations have people that are there to coach you and assist you if you want to even get more out of it. So it's pricing, it's inventory management, it's everything that you get out of a revenue management system for what you'd think of as a traditional city center or luxury hotel. All of that same analytics is available because you've got the booking data, you've got competitive rate shopping data. All of the inputs are there. The outputs are there as well, and being able to make those decisions 365 days out, being able to make those decisions 7 times within perhaps within 1 day for the short-term part of the booking curve. I mean, that's important to getting the most out of your business, and those are the things that it's very difficult for a human being to do when they're also running a hotel.
Well, yeah, because I'm worried about checking people in, making sure rooms are clean, making sure there's enough supplies in the building. That sometimes I think just generally in life, we have the intention of getting to something, but then something always falls on the back burner. And I find a revenue management is one of those things where people have the tendency to say, I'll deal with it later.
Right.
But then that just winds up hurting their own business if they don't focus on it.
That's absolutely true. So a decision system that makes those decisions and automates the distribution of those price points for you is important to your business. That doesn't mean you can't go in and manage exceptions where you know that a big bus just pulled up and that you're going to be filling the rooms tonight. There's opportunities to engage with what you know that maybe the system doesn't know, but by and large, you will do better over time. And we've seen this time and time again in our own research and our research that we do with our clients. If you let the automation do its job, you'll perform better.
Yes, with those few exceptions of like, we're having an eclipse and we're right in the way of it, so we could really
exactly, or some unspoken blonde woman having a concert in a venue near you.
Right. I don't. It's funny you should say that because I'm wondering if the eclipse is going to have that same Taylor Swift effect on hotel pricing.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to know what natural and metaphysical phenomena will drive it changes in demand. That's why I rely on the automation.
That's really, really funny. So how are you thinking about continuing to adapt and grow your systems in order to give people better intelligence to make decisions from?
Well, I think like many industries, you start out with one solution that fits all.
Right.
And everybody sort of kind of comes into that solution and uses it in the way that they best see fit.
Kind of like how there only used to be luxury hotels and boarding houses, for example.
Something like that.
Right.
Something like that.
But now there's 10 different flavors of extended stay hotels at all different price points, for example.
Absolutely. And extended stays are an example of a segment of the industry that's growing rapidly. A lot of investment is coming into it, and they have very unique business processes, considerations, and subsequently analytical capabilities that need to feed into optimizing their inventory and their pricing.
Right. So how do you think, again, how do you think about continuing to make sure that what you're offering is leveraging all of the technology that's available today to help create that decision-making power?
So the way we think about IDeaS is underlying all of our solutions that we offer to all of the segments is this data science and decision excellence that we have down there. So what we need to do is make sure that on top of that we're layering on all the capabilities that those individual segments have. So for example, extended stay is one that we just talked about. But if you look at resorts and all-inclusives, they have many times per person pricing, for example. They have different situations with the way that they have tour operator business that's a part of their mix. So there's different elements of sort of analytical competency and capabilities that those properties need as well. Budget hotels have very unique capabilities. If most of your bookings are coming late in the booking curve, then you have a different set of processes that you need to look at than you would in a hotel where maybe you're booking a year out. So there's all sorts of different requirements, and we've been leaning into the different analytical capabilities, the different UIs, the different ways that the users are using our system, and coming up with the right solutions for the right segments. And frankly, that's where so much of our innovation and investment is going right now. So we've had 20 million lines of code that we've either written or replaced in just our core RMS applications in the last 3 years.
Wow.
20 million lines of code. And much of that is going into the specialty requirements and what we continue to see as an industry who's building specialist capabilities for the guests who have different needs and wants. So we're really just responding to what we see in the industry, the same way the industry is responding to the guests.
And you guys have a track record of responding 30 plus years in the business. For example, I would argue even creating this segment altogether as understanding revenue management.
Yeah.
So the fact that you've been around so long, I think, shows that you're able to be flexible and keep updating things and taking advantage of the latest innovations.
Absolutely. And I think in many ways you become who your clients are. Like we watch our kids grow up, and for some of us, and we say, we want to make sure that they're hanging around the right kids because they'll be influenced by them. We've hung around some of the world's largest and smartest hospitality organizations, and we feel in many ways we've been informed by how good they are, how they pushed us over the years. So that includes some of the things we just talked about with the segments. It also includes, what we're able to do to drive automation for the largest estates. So, if democratization was one of the big trends that we saw 5 years ago, automation and being able to do much with fewer people is one of the trends that we see coming out of COVID.
And you're absolutely right. And that trend isn't just when it comes to revenue management, but all areas of your hotel operation out there, which is why here at Hunter Conference, the investment, the finance community is so hyper-focused on what is going on with technology in order to continue to add value, create more profitability, and increase the overall property value.
Absolutely, and we're part of that evolution of that automation capability for the industry. So we just released recently Portfolio Navigator, which is a tool that's designed for large estates to do more with less and manage the changes across the large estates and the complexity of managing that large estate versus just the complexity of managing a very sophisticated single hotel.
And that's great because it winds up helping in multiple ways. Number one, when you have less people working, you have less salaries to pay. Plus, you have the efficiencies of automated technology, which will help you increase the profitability. So I feel like you're saving on one end and finding more profitability on the other end.
True, and I might just say that we're taking resources and using them more efficiently. So we have really smart people, and automation can do some of the work they're doing. Let's take those smart people and put them at task at other analytical challenges.
Yeah, and when I say that, I mean, like, sometimes you can't hire certain people, but it'd be great if you have...
That's true.
And that's where you're able to, leverage the less people. But
Absolutely.
When you free up those individuals that are still in your organization to what you said, analytics, or if it's somebody at the front desk, they could be more of that personality that connects with guests. I think that's where we really start to see a win-win. Take out all the stuff we don't like to do and allow us on the focus that's going to help us enjoy our jobs and find more profitability.
Absolutely. It's better for all of us in the industry. It's better for the guests. It's better for the investors. Everything about it works.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for an AI to do my podcast for me so I can retire to Boca. Anything else on your mind, Russ?
I would love to come down to Boca and hang out with you once you retire.
Well, let's see if there's a spot at Boca del Vista that will open up.
Exactly.
I don't think I'll ever move to Florida because I don't like Florida, but I got too much New York in me.
Yeah, you'll miss the food.
No, especially the Chinese food and pizza. But you want to hear more debates like that, turn into our Friday Night Audit Show. But Russ, how can we learn more about IDeaS?
You can certainly go to IDeaS.com. Many of you probably already know many of the IDeaS representatives that serve the hotel industry in all the regions of the world, from Beijing to Shanghai to Thailand to Australia, all over Europe and all over the United States. But IDeaS.com is the place where you can come to find out more and reach out to us for more help and assistance.
Well, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And so for Russ, myself, Glenn, thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe to No Vacancy. Text the word hotel to 66866 to get our Sunday night newsletter, which wraps up all the news and podcasts and videos